I'm just Ian, welcome.
Hey,
Yeah,
how's it
sorry,
going?
I'm just leaning into the map, going, "Where in Brooklyn are they?" All right, okay, no, I see. I see. Yeah.
Ian, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. You know, we came on last minute. We love that you're here because, as you heard, Daniel and I, otherwise it would just be us just rambling for an hour. So we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no worries. I was just drinking beer, so
Yes.
might as well talk with some guys.
Welcome to a Thursday night with the boys. Yeah.
Cheers.
Hey,
I think that's the shirt.
yeah. So what are you drinking? Right out of the gate, I guess.
This is the spruce tip. I want to get my tasting notes down. So
Oh yeah, don't ruin it yet, then, you son of a bitch.
I got backup. Don't worry.
Nice. I technically have a backup can of it, but it's for Tiffany, and she's not here tonight. So if I drink it, I'm gonna get fired from the show. So I only get one. Don't let me forget that this time. So what, Ian? So you're the head brewer at Transmitter?
Yeah, among other things. Rob and Anthony brought me on about 7 years ago when we were still at the other space in Long Island City.
Yeah.
And I do the majority of the production from grain to glass, basically.
Okay, nice. So is that your background in the beer industry? Did you come from, production? Did you come from front of house, or not in the beer world at all?
No, not in the beer world at all. I spent 10 years in finance with big banks.
Wow.
After college.
Yeah.
And you were like, I wanted to do something a little more fun.
And wore a suit and tie almost every day.
Yeah.
I love this story. We've talked to, I think, a few people who have had this kind of same story where they work some job in a suit and then they're like, fuck this, I want to make beer. It's such a great story. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I respect that.
Yeah, I traded six pack for 6 figures, essentially.
I like it. So now,
now you wear overalls, so you got that going for you.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of no waste restrictions.
So. It's perfect for this time of year.
Yeah,
perfect. So now, coming from the finance industry, then coming out of college, do you have like a background love for beer? Was it like just a secret 30 rack love of beer? Like, what got you into that industry?
Yeah, I totally love going to beer festivals and drinking craft beer. Probably the 5 years out of college, after the quote unquote macro binge fest.
Sure.
But my buddy and I got a homebrew kit and we started making homebrew, and we went pretty much full tilt into, doing an extract batch. Be like, this is silly. Let's do all grain. Spend a whole bunch of money on stupid homebrew shenanigans, and we made some good beer. We thought it was good. Our friends thought it was good. It's kind of the typical story, like, oh, like you should do this for a living. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But
I said the same thing after I made a Mr. Beer once. Mr. Beer.
Yeah, you kind of get full of yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I could make a living doing this.
Yeah,
that's not exactly how it happened. It was in tandem with being pretty miserable in corporate America that led me to find a pretty much bottom of the barrel production job at Greenpoint Beer Works, which is where Kelso and Heartland Brewing beer was produced.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the breeding ground for a lot of brewers in Brooklyn and New York and beyond. If you walk into any brewery in the city, they probably have almost one employee, maybe 2 employees that work there at some point.
Yeah, we joke about it on the show with some regularity with where Tiffany and I are in Virginia. There's one brewery that tends to just groom people that end up going to other places. Like it's just a high revolving door, so to speak, of just people come in, they get trained, and then all of a sudden when somebody needs a new brewer, when somebody needs this, that's where they end up. So it's the same idea around here. You go to any brewery within 50 miles, there's a good chance one of those people comes from this one brewery.
Sure. Yeah, that's how it worked until they shut down.
Yep. And I feel like I think the more and more people we talk to, I do think that's somewhat of a, I don't know, the beer world is so tight because, you don't just start a brewery with a bunch of people that have never been around beer before. So you're constantly cherry picking people from the industry in some capacity. That everybody at a brewery usually comes from a brewery close by usually.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You should, otherwise you're in for a big adventure.
There's been a couple that have started up that did not go that route. And it was very interesting to sit back and watch. Yeah. I love it.
All right. So I think we got to play some trivia here. I think we call it something, but I'm not sure what it is. Do you remember?
It's history and facts, Phil. Just
right.
So that's our history and facts slide. It's not really history and facts anymore. Really, it's kind of morphed more so into trivia. So if you are logged into YouTube or logged into Twitter, you can play trivia along with us. So you can comment along in the comment section. We'll try to give you a couple of seconds after each question to give us your wrong answers, so we're not the only ones wrong. But that being said, what?
And also, Ian told us beforehand that he knows the answers to all of these.
Yeah, 100% comfortable.
So I'm really excited to hear his answers to
something
every
about
one of these.
Cicerone. I don't know. I'm not a pizza maker, but we're gonna find out apparently. So tonight we are doing trivia on the Spruce Tip Saison from Transmitter Brewing out of Brooklyn. So let's now, and again, typically Tiffany or Vero would handle trivia. I took care of trivia this week, which means it should be relatively simple for any child to know the answers or to correctly guess them because I'm not very clever. So let's roll question one.
Way to set us up. This is going to be great.
I do what I can. All right. Yep. So the owners of Transmitter Brewing met in 2005 when they were both learning to sail, working as structural engineers for Black Box Engineering, amateur bicycle racers, or traveling abroad in college.
Ooh. See, for me, this one is I feel like the classic story would be the traveling abroad in college, because you tend to bond with the people you do that with, and then they were probably in some breweries or some pubs over in Europe somewhere, and we're like, oh, we love beer, let's do this back at home. But I feel like that answer is too expected. So I'm instead going to picture them in spandex and go with amateur bicycle racers.
Yeah, I love it. That is also what Vero is going with, which typically and historically in the realm of this show means you are correct. Gabriel, you're a failure. Vero answered first, and she said C, and you answered second and said B. Katie, I expect more from you. So Vero, of course, and Phil, you are correct. They did meet as what is listed as amateur bicycle racers, which for me, I grew up riding bicycles with friends, so I also consider myself an amateur bicycle racer. But Ian, do you know more to this story? Again, originally Rob was going to join us, and we could have got the whole spandex background, but
they both rode a lot of miles together. But I think Anthony's the real racer. He used to do time trials, and I think he still has a bike trainer at home, and he's racing on the internet still these days.
Really? So still going on it?
Yeah, he's got like calves this big. I think the gear ratio on his fixie that he rides to work every day is incredible. Like, I don't know how he either both gets going or stops.
Well, he's got the calves for both, apparently. It sounds like that's how he gets going and how he stops.
Yeah. He flew by me this morning. He's like, I'll see you later. All right.
Now, does he ever walk around in the spandex and the helmet and just walk around the brewery?
That's
Yeah, that's the vision I like.
Yeah, no.
And initially, I thought no answer there. Here's the thing: I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
What happens in production stays in production.
This is true with most breweries, I believe. The production line is different than everywhere else.
Although from the tap room, you can see right into the brew house and the cellar. So sometimes I feel like I'm in a fishbowl.
Yeah, it's got to be early enough if we're going to be spandexing it up.
Yeah.
My full-time uniform these days is overalls and boots.
At least you have a shirt on underneath of it. I'm proud of you.
He put it on for the show. Step it up,
Yeah, naturally. All right. Question number 2. This is a true or false. Transmitter Brewing is a brewery that focuses on traditional style beers and farmhouse style beers. Obviously, we're having a Spruce Tip Saison. You should be able to pick up on the fact that potentially they do offer some farmhouse variations. I don't know if you were watching the video on the front end, but says farmhouse ales. You guys should just read a book occasionally, man.
I did notice it in the logo later. I wasn't sure if that's the official title of Transmitter, if that farmhouse ales part is part of it or not, which we'll ask Ian in a second. But because that's even in the logo there, I'm going to go with true on this one. And based on can art alone and the 2 beers that we currently have right here, I have to say that this is probably true.
This is Phil. I think you've deduced things well this week compared to the rest of your life. Yes. So this is a true statement. They do pride themselves on farmhouse and traditional style ales. And I say traditional style, Ian. You can enlighten us a little bit more on that in regards to. I think we're pretty comfortable on what our farmhouse ales are, but what do y'all consider a traditional? We're talking about the German purist laws, just.
That question is kind of tough.
Yeah.
It depends on style. If you're going against the style guide, in which beers are judged at a competition level, or just traditionally speaking, we fall somewhere in between there. I would say. Originally, back when we were in the original location in Long Island City in Queens, we kind of had a Franken brew system set up for our cellar.
Yeah.
And so we really didn't venture into doing too many lagers. Our glycol system was homemade by Rob and Anthony.
Okay.
They were actually featured in what is it? One of the mechanic magazines about their setup.
Nice.
But yeah, when we moved to the Navy Yard and expanded production, etc., and also when we, that was the first time we had a tap room.
Yeah.
The original location was just bottle service, and so once we had a draft system, we knew pretty quick that we were going to have a couple lagers on the line at all times. So that's when we really kind of pushed into not moving away from the Belgian French themed ales, but we definitely had to focus in on making good clean lagers.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you got a tap room in general, that's going to have to become a thing just to be successful, I would think. Now
I noticed that y'all don't have a lot of IPAs on the tap at all, or from really what I saw, you don't have
zero.
Many, right? Zero.
Yeah.
You have absolutely
never made an IPA.
You've never done one?
Never.
Now, what is the reasoning for this? Because everyone else is going so hard at them, you were like, "Fuck that! I don't want to do any."
Yeah, and back in the day, we didn't care for it, so a lot of the times we say we brew what we like.
Yep.
We weren't hop crazy, but it's going into the IPA and hop craze, like it just didn't seem like it fit with our brand.
Cool.
Interesting. All right. Keep going.
I mean, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
All right. So spruce itself has been used in several variations throughout history for a couple of different things, but select all that apply. So spruce has been used for beer and spirits,
Nope.
dental
Nope.
hygiene, scurvy prevention and treatment, vitamin C, and all of the above.
Wait, so is this? Oh, select all that apply. So if I select E, I also have to select A, B, C, and D.
I mean, if you want to get down to brass tacks and be an asshole about it, then yes. Again,
All right, cool.
put
Just wanna
trivia
make sure.
together this week for the show, so you're welcome. But yes, if you want to be a dickhead about it, then
Yeah.
E, A, B, C, D.
Then that's my answer here. I think this is everything.
It's way too many letters. I apologize. So yes, that's pretty consistent. I'm proud of you, Phil. You're batting 1,000.
I am. This is the best I've done in a long time.
So yeah, this is true. Again, I put together trivia though, so I really can't expect much more from you than this.
So out of these, Daniel, which is your favorite spruce-inspired thing?
No, scurvy
Dental
prevention.
hygiene?
Scurvy prevention.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord, I'm trying to avoid that scurv.
Aren't we
Now,
all?
so, all of these obviously are different variations that have been used with spruce. Obviously, beer and spirits. We're having a beer here tonight. That's a spruce tip. Spirits, it's been pretty popular in through multiple different variations of gin throughout the centuries, and a couple other spirits as well. The dental hygiene part really does come from the Native American aspect of it. So they would use a lot of spruce barks and ground up needles and shoots to chew on. So it was both a breath freshener as well as it get in between your teeth and somewhat floss for you. The scurvy is kind of a fun one because that harkens way back to like the 1500s. There was an expedition here in the Canada area or North, true North America, where the expedition did have scurvy. And there's the Iroquois Indians were actually responsible for giving them spruce-based tea and beer over the course of a couple of weeks that allegedly cured their scurvy because it is heavy in vitamin C, depending on how you make it. So in theory, this was now the cure for scurvy. So it was carried with some regularity on ships. It was brewed in a lot of teas and a lot of beers for that reason, for sailors to try to both control it as well as prevent it, which is really interesting because there's some other theories on that I think we'll get into in the later end of things. But spruce and beer. I mean, you tell me, Ian. When did you first see it start really becoming a thing?
Well, pretty local here. Grimm Artisan Ales put out spruce tip goza.
Yeah.
And they've been making that I would say 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years now. And that's really the first time I think I recall having it in a beer.
Nice.
The S10 here, the spruce tip saison is, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time we made it.
Okay.
And we only make it once a year. It's seasonal due to the spruce tips, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
We typically harvest them from one of the owners and myself have houses upstate, and so we'll go in at the beginning of spring and harvest.
See, and that's I think that's one of my favorite things about yes, Katie, I am capable of finding.
I was blown away by how much you knew about that, Daniel. You're normally not this informative. It was very wonderful.
I love spruce tips.
Big spruce tip guy.
Spruce tip guy. I told you it was coming. No, but actually that is one of my favorite things in regards to, I went down a rabbit hole in regards to the spruce tips, looking into this. And it was funny. I ended up on like some Great American Beer Festival or somebody else, so-and-so writer for talking about it. And he was like, well, here's when you want to harvest them. And I was like, I mean, you kind of want to harvest them correctly in the same right time of year. I think we all know when trees are good Like, it's not rocket science. Like, I got this tree last year. It's probably not going to be good to brew with this year. But Rick from the Great American Beer Festival was very specific. He was very helpful. He wrote a wonderful piece.
God, Tiffany goes away for one day, and Daniel's reading articles online. Like, this is
I don't read things. I don't read things.
I didn't even know you could read. So this is really nice to see.
So now you said your own fruit tips. Y'all have places upstate, so you're actually harvesting your own.
Yeah.
Are you freezing them at all? Is it brought in?
Yeah. So typically we'll harvest and then we plan the brew schedule to brew it, the weekend after we come back. This year the timing didn't work out with production and tank space, and we supplemented our hand picked with some commercial grade spruce tips.
Nice.
We upped the batch. It was a larger batch this year, so we could hang on to it further into the Christmas and holiday season here.
Nice. So we're working with government weed instead of just your neighbor's weed now.
Yeah, I mean, so like the ones we found upstate were like this.
Yeah.
This big. The ones that we got, like, holy cow.
Holy shit. I don't even know how much to put in anymore.
They were massive. So we ended up, I'm looking at I brought the brew sheet home. So I remembered my shit here. We used almost 18 kilos spruce tips. And
Lord,
basically like a 25 barrel batch.
Yeah. And normally it's always impressive when we start talking in kilos. Phil's eyes light up.
Hey, I'm in the Caribbean right now, so when I hear kilo, I get very excited.
Both children of the 80s, so you're speaking my kilo language.
Yeah, everything at Transmitter we don't do on a metric scale.
Interesting.
Most ingredients come packaged that way.
Yep.
So it's just easier.
Interesting. Phil, the metric scale is so it's different from what we use. It's all right. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Good. So we've done 3 questions. So this is where we are. The most exciting moment of the show is when we finally get to open this, and Daniel's already opened it. So
yeah, I'm already ahead of you, bro. I knew
we're gonna open this while we do the next question, so that Daniel and I can get a little bit more of an idea of this beer prior to giving our review, because we don't want to have one sip and then judge it and then ruin the Untappd scores. So we are going to start drinking this now. Let's get into this next question and keep going.
All right. True or false? Ben Franklin had a recipe for a spruce beer in 1783.
God, I know Ian knows the answer to this one.
It's funny. I sent this one to him specifically.
This seems like such a strange question to be on here and have it be false.
Could you imagine if I just pulled this shit out of my ass?
Yeah.
And it was false? Like, psych.
The only thing that could be false here is if you're just a jerk and just did it was 1782, not 83. So I'm going with just true on this one.
Okay. Yes. Obviously, this would be a weird made-up question, or I'd be extremely imaginative to just pull this one out of nowhere. But yes, this is true. And actually, it was. There's a book called Beer in America, the early years, which actually houses a lot of original beer ideas and things that came from some of the early colonies. So here, if you're really interested, here's Ben Franklin's actual recipe for spruce beer. It's
probably the same as Ian's on his paper, I think.
Yeah, it's very. When he held it up, it looked like it was written in the same old time metric system as well.
Yeah.
But it says for a cask containing 80 bottles, take 1 pot of essence of spruce. I don't know what a pot measurement is, but I assume it was pretty common back then. 13 pounds of molasses or the same amount of unrefined loaf sugar, and mix them well together with 20 pints of hot water. Stir together until they make a foam, then pour into the cask. Then you'll fill with water, add a pint of good yeast, stir it well, let it stand for 2 to 3 days to ferment, after which close the cask, and after a few days, it'll be ready to put into bottles. They must be tightly corked, period.
Bottle bombs.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I thought that was interesting because everybody always obviously quotes the damn Ben Franklin stuff that we're not really sure if he said or not about, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. So it was kind of fun to find some tie back to his actual concern for beer in general. Do you guys have any cask ales? God, that always excites me. I know that's a random one because you're not a bar. I mean, you're not gonna.
So yeah, we ventured into doing some English ales. We have an ESB and a dark mild that we've done.
Nice.
And we have a couple pin casks that we'll fill and prime, and those go to like the nicer beer bars around town.
Yeah, I was gonna say typically like little Fergits or little actual casks roll around to the nice beer bars in town. They don't end up anywhere I frequent because I'm not allowed in those places. They say.
All right, we've got another question. It's our last one, and then we're gonna just talk about this beer because I'm just dying to get into it. So
yeah. All right, so this is a little more of a up in the air question, so to speak. But you can add spruce tips to your beer during the brewing process, at which points select all that apply. So you can add it at the beginning of the boil. You can add it at the end of the boil. You can add it during fermentation or after fermentation or all of the above.
So once again, I'm going A, B, C, D, E on this one, just to be that guy again.
Okay. So basically you can't make your damn mind up.
Yeah, but I have no idea because I don't brew beer.
Okay.
So
I feel like we have been a part of a few beers. Like maybe this might make a little sense.
Yeah, but when the beers that we have brewed together, Daniel, I don't remember much about that day.
Oh, I was shithoused. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Ian, we have 3 beers that we brewed on this show so far with breweries, and it's been a lot of fun. And our favorite part about the show of doing this is just showing up at 9 a.m. and starting to drink beer while they brew the beer. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're familiar with collab days. Someone shows up, drinks all your beer, and you still somehow do all the work, and then they put their name on the beer, which is a blast.
Usually there's good lunch.
Oh, yeah. Always good lunch, too. You're right. Shit.
Yeah. It's very true.
I think normally I'm just drinking.
What's Andrew saying? This is a lot.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Did you guys already cover how you determine where the spruce tip ends? Because I think craft beer would need some serious.
Oh, and E, he says for this question.
And E.
Thank you, Andy. So yes, so it is actually all of the above. So spruce tips are kind of fun in this situation because depending on where you add them in the actual beer process, you're going to get different results from. And there are different arguments, again, like because it is a vitamin C based issue, a lot of people tend to think that going back to the scurvy issue, that once you boil it, you lose a lot of the actual vitamin C out of it. So there are people that think if you add it during the fermentation process or directly into the bright post-fermentation that you actually are able to capture a lot more of that vitamin C than you would just by putting it into the boil. Early in the boil is going to give you a different flavor and give you a different bitterness and a different everything than late in the boil. But you can, in theory, put it in anywhere in the process, just like any of your other adjuncts. So basically anything outside of, let's say, the 5 regular ingredients of beer, you can pretty much play around with wherever you put them in the process. You're going to get different results. You're going to get some different flavors. You're going to get some different off flavors, but that's kind of the fun. Or they tell me that's kind of the fun of brewing.
Yeah, Ian, at what point do you all put the spruce tips in for this S10?
So these go in at flame out during the whirlpool.
Yep.
So, tail end of the boil. One to ensure it kills any bacteria or microflora. This is a clean beer. We use a single strain saison yeast, and we're using Ironheart for canning, and their requirement is no wild yeast for the canning line. So there's also just to add to that, I've seen brewers use pine branches and various pine scraps and whatnot in the mash.
Yep.
So what they'll do is they'll lay the tree branches down in the mash above the grates, and then they'll mill in and run off through the actual pine branches to grab some more of that flavor.
And that was one of the things I was reading about as well. I was going to mention that is that there are a ton of different brewers that will throw just whole pieces of actual spruce, whether it's branch, whether it's bark, anything they can. Like you said, most of the time above the grates, obviously, so that way when they mill in, it goes across it, but it doesn't actually get intermingled and ground in. But I thought that was really interesting. I feel bad for whoever's got to clean the tank. Whoever's got to knock out on that one is having to like pull branches out, not just spent grain. Seems like a lot of work. All right, so I think that was the last question we had, right?
That's the last question. So let's talk about kind of this beer in general. I have a few questions, Ian. I don't know how much you can answer any of these, but first off, I really love the can design of Transmitter. I think it's it's really unique and different. But I noticed that you guys don't use names. This is just S10, which I assume is the 10th version of this.
Now,
so it's the 10th saison. So the letter is the style, and then the number is just the next in line.
Yep.
So
you literally just call your beer
a better version of 9. They're just different.
Okay. So then we also have the Oktoberfest. So it's OH2. What's that all stand for?
So other half, and it's our second collab that we've done with them.
You couldn't solve that mystery, Phil?
Look, I'm here to ask questions, not answer them.
Hey, nobody likes sitting around thinking of what their next beer name is going to be. They're all taken.
They're all taken. Yeah, you're getting a cease and desist somewhere.
We don't have an A1 beer for obvious reasons.
Naturally. Okay.
And then
it's a good point.
And what do you know about kind of the overall design? Like, where's Transmitter? Where's the name come from? Do you know all this?
Yeah. So originally, Rob and Anthony wanted to open the brewery in Greenpoint. It's a northern Brooklyn neighborhood that they both live in. I live there as well. There's Transmitter Park, which is right on the water on the East River. And they used to host WNYC's radio tower when it moved from Manhattan. I don't remember when. And so that's where the name comes from. And some of the lightning bolts and a lot of the label design comes from a ham radio card.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called QSL cards. And people with ham radios would communicate over the airways with each other, and then they had their little 3x5 note cards that they would put a stamp on and mail to the person they talked to, and they would share their own logo, so on and so forth. So a lot of the miscellaneous data and the small stuff on the label is taken directly from those QSL cards.
Interesting.
Very cool.
I have a customer who up until very recently was really heavily involved in the ham radio world, and they have a bunch of those on their equipment from all the people that they've talked to over the years. Yeah. So when I saw the label, I was pretty sure that's where it came. I was like, I know what that is. I recognize the idea of it, whether or not that's what it was supposed to be or not.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad I'm not fucking crazy. Thank you, Ian. Yeah.
All right. So I got Ian, what is going on at Transmitter coming up? Like, so we've done, first off, this beer, I love this beer. I love how much spruce I'm getting out of it. It's what I kind of would want. I'm big on, like, if you're going to throw something on a label, if you're going to call something, it better freaking taste just like it. And it so much like spruce. I was like, I'm very happy about it. Yeah. Is there another kind of, what's coming up next at Transmitter that is something kind of different or unique or something you're excited about?
We kind of stick to our guns. Like, we have, the fall and winter time are coming up. So we have our Abbey Double that's going to be released. We're canning it tomorrow, actually. So that'll be ready in a couple weeks. We get keg next week. So that's another kind of special beer we make. We do the Belgian candy sugar in-house, and we'll cook it over 3 or 4 days. Really cook that sugar down. Actually, we invert the sugar, and so it caramelizes without burning. It provides a ton of color in the beer. A lot of caramel, dried fruit, date, fig flavors. It also bumps up the ABV to 7 or 8%. So
now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't seen a 4% on a can in a while, but it's pretty nice to have it.
Yeah, you can enjoy 3 or 4 of them without falling over.
Well, that's always the thing. Yeah. Or it actually just means that once we get done with this show and we shoot our promo for next week, we won't be shithoused like we normally
There you go. Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
Gonna be our best promo yet. Thank you, Ian.
Well, and you get all those, piney, danky notes, but not the heavy double IPA.
Yeah, it's not. Looking at the IBUs, I knew it wasn't going to be like extremely like bitter or catch me like an IPA in any capacity. But still, you also still expect anytime you got spruce tips or even with a farmhouse like this, I still always expect there to be a little bit of that, and there really isn't in this beer, which is nice. I think it's different than what I thought it was going to be, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, that spruce really lingers on the back palate.
Correct.
The beer is super dry.
Yep.
It finished near 1.
Which is it's interesting. I don't think that's what I was expecting, even after reading the label. So there's portions of it I thought I was going to get, which definitely back end on the piney end of things, but
sure. Yeah. We use DuPont single strain Saison.
Yep.
Yeast it's pretty attenuative. So
yeah,
it dried the beer out in really no time. There's not a lot of sugar, 4% beer. So
I'm a big fan.
Ripped and rocked, and then we sat on it cold for almost a month.
Wow. Okay.
Just clean it up. Like if you decant, we do can conditioning.
Yeah.
So all of our cans have yeast in the bottom of the can. So if you decant, like, you get this, like, it looks like a Pilsner or lager. It's like,
right.
Beautiful. You can read the newspaper through it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Also wasn't expecting that, even though, like, again, I knew it was can conditioned. Like, I read the label, but still wasn't expecting it to be quite as, like you said, Pilsner-y as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is killer. I
mean, that's what Saisons are Pilsners with yeast that's flavorful.
Correct. I'm a big Saison fan, and I joke all the time. It's it's a Pilsner, but it's a better flavored Pilsner.
Yeah.
So it's a Bud Light, but it's a craft beer Bud Light.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right, Ian. Well, we appreciate you coming on today to drink this with us, talk to us about Transmitter. I'm in and out of New York a lot. I will definitely swing by at some point and say hi and, walk around in spandex and a helmet just to fulfill my dream of that.
Don't be a stranger.
No, I will not. So we appreciate you coming on. This beer is fantastic. I'm entering the world of spruce tip, and I think this was a good entrance.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
glad to be
really
here.
appreciate it. I enjoy the hell out of this beer. Again, it's right up my alley in general anyway. And after doing some research on you guys, I think y'all are pretty well right up my alley in general anyway. So definitely looking forward to getting up there and coming to see you guys and trying it out.
Right on. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you including me and including Transmitter in your show here, and happy to do it again.
I really
All right.
appreciate
We
it,
will
Ian.
definitely have you back.
Smack Rob for us, and it's good to see you, bud.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, cheers,
Cheers,
man.
Thanks, man.
I love it.
Nowhere.